audience analysis. I teach public speaking, so I need to do some audience analysis. Anyone in the room have a parental figure who taught in their school, was an administrator in their school? School parents. Okay, I got some comrades in the room. Thank you, I needed that. So my story is about my dad, who was that vice principal, it's fine. So my dad was the vice principal of my high school. So that was a lot. Growing up, it was a lot. He also really likes dad jokes. He's a very typical Midwestern dad, kind of you would say, I'm hungry, and he'd be like, oh no, I thought your name was Emily, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I think those are really funny now. I'm really into dad jokes. So I do appreciate that upbringing. So something to know about having a teacher or administrator as a parental figure is you can't get away with shit. There's nothing you can do at any point in time because they know immediately. There's no question. So growing up, all of my teachers immediately knew who I was. I didn't have to introduce myself. They knew who I was because I went to football games, etc. So you couldn't really escape your last name. You couldn't really escape your upbringing, so to speak. And so that's something that I really resented when I grew up because I wanted to be my own person. You know, I was angsty. I wanted to dye my hair black. I wanted to do the whole thing, which is funny because this is all me. But I wanted to dye my hair black. I wanted to be my own person because I really wanted to define myself against this image of the principal's kid, which did a lot. He was in charge of discipline. A lot of my friends were like, oh, how does that feel? And I'm like, it's fine. It just is what it is. But as I grew up, I kind of realized that was molded into my identity without necessarily wanting it to be a part of my identity, right? So I went to college. That was cool. I got to be my own person. I got to drink beer for the first time. That was great. I still love beer, clearly. So something that always would happen in my hometown, I grew up in a small Midwestern South Dakota town. My South Dakotan back there, retweet. Yankton? It's an hour south of Sioux Falls. It's fine, it's small. So when you go back to Yankton, you go to the bars with your friends. It's kind of the Midwestern thing to do. So we would always start on kind of the west side of town, and you'd work your way east. And that's kind of the stages of drunk that you were as you worked your way down. So one night I'm downtown with some friends and, seeing a bunch of people from high school I hated, who hated me, who were your dad's an asshole, whatever. It was fine. I work them away. So we're at the last bar, okay? We're at the last bar. We're at the Far Eastern Bar, which is a dance club, also a strip club, but it's mostly a dance club. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on. And so I'm there, and I'm sitting at the bar. I wasn't having a tequila shot. Enrique and I would get along that way, like tequila. No tequila shots that night, but we were having some beers. I was pretty intoxicated. We were hanging out, and this dude who I went to high school with was sitting there, and I was I knew who he was. To be 100% honest, I have no idea what this dude's name is, but he was there. I recognized him. He recognized me. And he was talking to me about my dad, which is always the thing when you're the principal's kid. You're okay, here we go. Here we go, because you're expecting a story about how your dad was an asshole or how, wow, that was really cool that he did that or whatever. You're expecting some story because that's how people relate to you. It's your identity before you even enter a room. And so I'm at this bar talking to this guy, and he's a lot of people didn't like your dad because he was in charge of discipline. He was the vice principal, right, in charge of discipline. A lot of people didn't like that because being disciplined sucks. You want to act out. You want to do your teenage shit. You want to dye your hair black. And so he is talking to me, and he's I think back to high school, and I think back to all of the meetings I had with your dad. And I was okay, here we go. And he's talking to me, and he's I don't think I would have graduated high school if it weren't for your dad. I don't think I would not be in jail if it weren't for your dad. Because despite how often I got in trouble, despite the crowd that I kind of ran with in high school, he kept me on the straight and narrow. He made sure that I was gonna graduate. And hearing that in this weird context of being back after graduating and talking to this person who I literally don't know his name, and hearing that someone that you had always kind of taken for granted as being a sure thing to them, as being that person who pushed them, who made sure that they succeeded, was really touching to me. It really kind of changed my perspective on my relationship with my dad, on my adolescence, and everything. And I kind of realized that a lot of things that we take for granted as sure things aren't sure things for everybody else. And so that moment of validation fundamentally changed my relationship. And so now I really appreciate my sure thing, my dad jokes.